Oh, welcome to In Depth. Podcast starting in one, two, three, go.
So, what genres of music do you like?
I'm more of a rock type guy, rock alternate, things like that. I classical music I'll listen to, anime OSTs I'll listen to. I'm more of a I can listen to pretty much everything except country, and yeah, pretty much I just country just rubs me the wrong way for some reason. Don't know why.
Have you tried Taylor Swift?
Which one?
Taylor Swift,
Oh yeah, she's
this,
all right. I mean, it's your typical um, pop star type songs for the masses. Nothing really unique about it. She
Mhm.
has a good tune, good voice. But there's been tons of singers like her. You know, you look at Cher, you look at Whitney Houston, you look at uh, Barbara Streisand, things like that that have range like Taylor Swift, but she knows her audience and she's a megastar, bigger than Beyonce, I think.
The thing about Taylor Swift is most of the people in India, like my friend group, I don't know about the all India scene, but my friend group don't like Taylor Swift because of the internet thing. Kanye West hating on it, Kanye West fans hating on it, on her, on the music she makes, and the Taylor Swift fans being a little gayish, the male guys. I won't say that that's the thing. That's but they look kind of gay.
This is why I just listen to the music, and I don't even bother with like paying attention to the drama of the scene itself. And it's really not in my wheelhouse of listening to Kanye or Taylor Swift. Like, if I hear the song, then fine, but it's not like I'm going to actively listen to it. It's just not what I listen to. So, like, I'll listen to baby metal and I'll listen to Metallica and Megadeth
Mhm.
and Led Zeppelin, Beatles, whatever, just because it's just music I grew up with. And everyone will have that different thing. People hear those names and say, who the heck is that?
Mhm.
And go from there. But it's what you enjoy listening to and what you'll continue to listen to. And like for me, I like the more orchestral stuff and like Cyberpunk 2077 soundtracks or
Mhm.
video game soundtracks like Final Fantasy and things like that. So I'm all over the place.
Don't you get bored when you are like listening to some kind of music? If you are listening to this album and you are getting bored to it, because let me just articulate this properly. Like when I am listening to this album, like first time it's masterpiece, second time it is masterpiece, and when it comes to the third time or fourth time or the fifth time, it's just not that great. And I'm like, uh,
If you say, I don't listen to full albums, I listen to a compilation of songs. So if someone's thrown together a playlist of a variety of different songs from different albums, then it's something different. Whether they're popular or whether they're side B stuff or whether they're whatever, it's just something different in a list, and then it's okay. But if I can't listen to a full album back to back to back because I don't know if it's just the way I listen to music or because I'm jumping all over the place with how I work and things like that, then it's like I don't have enough time to focus in on from song to song to song. I mean, I listened to a CD recently, I can't think of its name right now, where I listened to everything from song 1 to song 13 on the CD, and it was just a depressing song. It was a depressing album itself. And it was just like, why am I listening to this? And then I had to switch to something more upbeat to kind of get me out of that head funk.
my music uh, way of listening is that on the quick dial thing in YouTube Music app, I've pinned some albums, pinned some songs, and I start with like one of them. Like if I want to listen, and I'm not like a very discoverable guy. I don't really like to go out and search for songs. So there is this song "You Can Never Tell" by Chuck Berry. I start with that, and those songs just comes back and back and back. Wanderer is one that comes back. Jailhouse Rock,
Yeah,
or
okay.
those songs. And the thing is, sometimes when I'm sitting on my desk working, and I'm like, I wanna listen to music, but I don't wanna listen to music.
Well,
Because the thing is, I listen to multi-genre. I listen to hip hop,
mhm,
whether it's international or my Indian scene. I listen to Chuck Berry, everything. I think it's rock and roll.
mhm,
Yeah, then I'll listen to some of my culture song. Those are great too. Some South Indian songs, and it is such a big, it's like a khichdi. I don't know how can I explain to you. It's like everything together,
mhm.
and I'm like, I want to listen, but what should I? But I don't want to discover anything new. Have you felt that?
Yeah, I think it really depends on. See, for me, like if I do, because I listen to so much different music in general, like I'll just go onto YouTube and I'll just see what's on the playlist, what appears in my feed, and I'll just start clicking randomly, and I'll just say, oh, okay, well this looks interesting, or this looks similar to this, or here's something different, or maybe I'll do a search on best music of 2024 or 2025 or whatever it is, and see if anything kind of sticks out to me. But I haven't asked my friends, or I haven't asked like. Sometimes I'll go on social media and I'll say, "Hey, I need a playlist. Give me your link me your best songs or whatever that you're listening to right now." And someone will throw up a YouTube list or a link or whatever, and I'll just pop it into my own playlist and go from there. And it's something I like. I'll save it. I'll remember it, and I'll do a deep dive into that particular band. Or if it isn't, then I'll just after a couple of bars, I'll just probably skip it and
Mm.
go on to something else. So it just depends on what you like. And if you haven't listened to a genre before, if you haven't listened to say like baby metal, even if I don't understand Japanese, but I like the beat, I like the pacing of it, I like the interactivity of how the band interacts with their fans and things like that. I mean, it's hard rock, it really is, but there's a good melody to it overall. But if you're not into heavy metal, or if you're not into metal in general, it may not be what you like. But if you've never heard of them, toss on their best of playlist and on YouTube and see what it is. It's like an hour long, and it's about 20 plus songs, and it's a very fast paced thing. So if you need to do some fast coding or movie or whatever you're working on that needs a bit of a kick to it, throw that on, and then your work will get done even faster.
Hmm. What is the last video game you played?
Destiny 2 is one I've been playing for 10 plus years now. What else? I have a huge Steam list. Destiny 2 is one. Let me pull it up real quick. The Life is Strange series is actually really good if you haven't played that. I
Hmm.
still haven't played Double Exposure, the newest game yet, but I will. Um, I
This
think
backlog is this backlog is so hard to get through.
oh, it gets even worse. It's like
Yeah.
your watch later playlist
Mm.
on YouTube.
Yeah.
I have stuff from like 16, 17 years ago that I threw into the watch later playlist I haven't touched.
And sometimes you are watching some YouTube video, and in the side tab you're seeing this video you wanna watch, and when you go to it, and you're like, it is on the watch later playlist and you
Yeah,
haven't watched it yet.
yeah.
And that is amazing to see that we want to be productive, but we cannot. That's just human nature.
Well, what's even worse is what about screenshots on your phone? It's like, oh yeah, this was a really cool image that I really should look back
Yeah.
on, and then all of a sudden it's just like,
Screenshots and those photos of blackboards, whiteboards as a
yeah,
student,
yeah.
these things, oh, I should just watch it later, or I should just note it down when I get home, and those things are never completed.
I know.
I didn't make any notes in the whole year, like 2024, and I'm passing all the grades, and I think it's fine till I'm getting passed.
Yeah, yeah. As long as you don't fail, that's the main thing. I mean,
Yeah.
for me, I took photos, especially in visual arts. I took thousands of photos because it was like different art styles and different periods of art history and whatever else I was taking of at that time. And I looked back at one of my folders, and it was like I had almost 10,000 photos, just actual photos, not even screenshots, but photos that I took in a 4 year span of art history and various things on film sets and whatever else. And it was like, what am I going to do with all this stuff? They're great memories, don't get me wrong, but I'm not, it's the time has passed and maybe I'll look back on it or whatever. But these are things that, like, I must have at least 10 hard drives I've collected over the decades, just backup hard drives that I'll never touch. And in fact, I just threw them into a hard drive reader seeing what I had collected. And I had one from back in like 1998.
Oh.
Like, and it was just random stuff that I'd thrown onto the hard drive thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to use this hard drive again sometime. Well, technology changed and advanced and it doesn't fit into any technology I have nowadays. So you're going to save a bunch of stuff. You're going to have a bunch of stuff in your miscellaneous folders that you'll collect over the years. One of these days, you're going to have to go through and just prune them, just delete them because it's either not going to be worthwhile or it's just something you don't have to worry about anymore. So, make sure you keep your hard drives clean.
Mhm. Yeah, I'll do that thing too. What are your thoughts about streaming platforms and the physical media?
I think it's more important now than ever. Everyone's going to the cloud for a lot of stuff. Besides security factors of that things can be deleted or erased or whatever, you should always have physical media of some kind, shape, or form to keep as a backup. Like I back up all my interviews on a separate hard drive, and I'll back it up every month. It's just the way I grew up, and it's the way I've always had it. It's not that I don't trust the cloud, but I don't know what's going to happen to the content, what it'll be used for if I have access to it, or if I don't get access to it, or if I forget, or whatever. But DVDs, especially Blu-rays, DVDs, CDs, things like that, yeah, those save those. Don't bother throwing them away because you never know when Amazon closes or whatever the case may be. Spotify shuts down, YouTube
Mhm.
shuts down, and then you're like, what was that? Oh wait, I can't go and see that playlist anymore because I don't physically have it. Oh darn.
Do you collect Blu-ray CDs?
I used to. Um, I have. I think I have like 4 or 5 boxes full of box sets of like say Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Highlander the series, Angel, a bunch of comedy things like Eddie Izzard, some Canadian stuff that I from CBC and 22. This hour is 22 minutes and things like that. So I have content. I have stuff that I'll. I mean, that's why I have video game consoles because those are my only CD and Blu-ray players.
Mhm.
So that's the only thing that can play this type of content now. Because computers don't have CD drives or Blu-rays
Yeah,
anymore.
it's a old thing now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I remember the days when you used to have a CD-ROM drive,
Mhm.
and then a burner right below it, and then a disk drive that used to have the 3.5 floppy inch disks.
Yeah, I've
So
seen that thing. I'm not that young. Who's your favorite director?
it depends on who I like or what I like. I think Spielberg is really solid. Ron Howard's good in his genre. He's not too bad. Scorsese is just a classic. Um, Christopher Nolan has some really interesting style of directing. Uh, yeah, those are pretty much the main ones for now. I think it really depends on. I mean, Kurosawa was just a masterpiece when it comes to literally anything when it comes to light and shadow and this. I mean, he set the samurai genre
I
apart
think
from
I think
anything
you
else that's
should
been
you
created.
should check out Satyajit Ray. He was a an Indian director and he was so great. I haven't seen all his movies because it is hard to find, Uh, but on the criterion list, I think there are some. And
Okay.
he actually uh, was a great director in terms of showing real India to people. The
Yeah.
first film he made was Pathar Panchali. That is the top movie in on my letterboxd, top four, and I think
Wow.
it was a great experience to view it, because it is such a movie that shows India, and it is so real because I can relate to that even though it is made in 1950s or something, and I can really look back. Oh, yeah, India must be like that. The brother sister bond must be like that.
Hmm.
You know, I think you should check him out sometime.
Yeah, toss me that information in an email so I can make sure I get
Yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah,
copy and paste it correctly.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll, I'll do that.
Yeah,
Anurag Kashyap is great too. If you wanna see some movies of his also.
yeah. I think there's a lot you can learn from foreign films because it's not just about art house films or anything like that. Even though, and I don't mind subtitles whatsoever. I
Hmm.
watch all my anime with the subtitles because, like I said, I can't speak Japanese. But I think there's something to be said about different styles and how they learned how to be filmmakers because everyone takes influence from someone else, whether it's through reading or whether it's through the art of the culture, be it physical mediums or whether it's on the screen. It's amazing what you can find and how you interpret with the use of color, light, sound. There's just beauty in all film, whether it's experimental or whether it's a feature. Or I think some of the best shorts that you can see as the style of the beginning style of someone in that's a famous director now. If you ever watch the shorts, you'll see inklings of how and why they're a great director.
Yeah,
And the cinematography is just half the battle. Having a good team around you is a huge factor of it too, because you're not going to do everything yourself, and if you do, you're very delusional.
have you watched this movie Poor Things?
Oh, the one with Mark
Emma.
Ruffalo and all
Yeah,
that, and
yeah,
Emma. Yeah, yeah. I haven't seen it. Want to? It looks beautiful from what I saw. I
yeah.
mean,
It is beautiful, but it is so
disturbing.
disturbing. Not disturbing. I have seen worse things, but that is something I wasn't expecting when I was watching it. When
Yeah.
it started, I was like, okay, it's some psychological thing, which is gonna be great. But as the movie progressed and I saw Emma, it's like, oh no, this is going to some other direction.
Yeah.
And when the first nude scene of Emma popped up, I was like,
Mm.
oh no, I should stop this and I should go back to the computer screen and I should watch it without my parents around because I will get into trouble. And I'm 17, and that would be a very bad age to get out of the house. You know, in a in a winter season, I don't really have such plans.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's why you have either two monitors to watch
No,
from.
I
But
have I have my PC at a certain angle so that anyone
there you go.
entering the room cannot watch the screen.
See, now that's smart. But also, you need to have like a shortcut key to make sure that
Yeah,
you shut everything off and goes to like say a Word document or something. Just
yeah, my computer
not
screen.
not saying
That's
from personal experience or anything, but I'm just saying like
you are old. You must have a wife, some children.
nope.
No?
Nope. I've been knock on wood single for a while and just the way I am. So it is what it is. But not for lack of trying, not for lack of looking, but it's not in my cards just yet.
Yeah, it's life. You cannot force anything to anyone.
No, no. And if you find someone that understands you, if you find someone that enjoys what you're doing, but you can also enjoy what they're doing, no matter the culture, then I think that's the basis of a good relationship, and respect too. You have to have communication and respect, and that's in your personal life, and that's in business as well. So
Hmm.
always communicate, because that solves half the legal battles.
Any advices for me
In what?
in
What? What?
anything?
What would you, oh, that's a broad question, man. You need to narrow that
No,
down.
I don't really need advice in the women section. I am
Good.
kind of confident guy. I
Okay. Well,
want,
there you go.
life just overall, if you want to share something.
Sure. Well, always be there for your family. Always be there for your friends if you can. Your friends if you can, but always be there for your family. Um, be true to yourself. Be kind to yourself, because that's the hardest part. We take
Mm.
so much in our lives personally, but we also, at least and for me specifically, if you can't communicate what you like and what you don't like, then you're not going to move forward in life. So don't be afraid to communicate. Whether you think the person's going to take your words in a completely different direction, that may not be the case. That's all up here.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to say, hey, no, I really like doing this. I don't like doing this. Or I'd like to learn more about this. How can I improve myself? And do that. If you can take a month or a couple of weekends and learn something new, something different that you're not comfortable with, it's a brand new skill you've not learned or touched or looked into, but it's something that you think will improve your life in some way, shape, or form, whether it's philosophy, whether it's, you know, writing better scripts, whether it's being a better editor, whether it's doing whatever you may not know doing, maybe golf, whatever, I don't know, cooking, let's say, because that's a very good skill to have, by the way. Learn all the recipes from your parents too, your mother specifically, because if you have a good recipe, that translates across countries and borders and boundaries. Food is universal. We'll leave it at that.
It's not because from Indian perspective, you cannot, eat those spices a bit.
Since when?
You know, uh, uh, the Indian food is really spicy. I just have to put
Okay.
it that way. So I
Yeah.
don't think a lot of people can go through those extreme spices. For me, it is piece of cake,
Yeah.
but for not a lot of people, I like my culture food. I'm in Delhi right now, but I belong to Uttarakhand, which is a place with hills,
Okay.
between mountains. My hometown is between mountains, and I like to eat food from there. But
Sure.
people in Delhi don't really like that. Even my friends who belong from Uttarakhand don't really like the food. So I think I should really learn one thing which is acceptable to all, and some Indian touch to it.
You can't please everyone though, and that's in food and that's in life. So, like for me, I love spices. I
Hmm.
would I there's a restaurant, an authentic Indian restaurant in Toronto. I go to whenever I'm there. I just love the food. I just love eating in general. My doctors don't like me eating, but I love eating in general. So for me, I ended up there was a hot sauce called Dragon's Blood. It's about 2 million Scoville units of
Okay.
spice. So I did a shot of that at work one day, and I downed it straight without having anything in my stomach. So I have a resistance to spice and heat. I can eat anything
And you
literally.
have
And
guts too.
hmm?
You have guts too, because that's a very hard thing to
One thing at a time.
do.
so, so for me, like I love Indian food. I love spices. I love just different cultures and different foods, because it's a window to a world that I don't have access to. So
And
I don't. as much as I want to travel, I would love to do like that Anthony Bourdain and just travel the world and just eat food.
And the thing about pleasing everyone, it sometimes people do like those things which are doing, but really like to point out things unnecessarily because they like to do that because it's their nature, and we cannot help them. It's their part of life. I cannot say why are you not like me. I cannot say that, but it's such a thing which is so spectacle about it. I don't know how to describe that thing. And I'm like 17. I'll be 17 on 2nd Jan. I'm really young. I don't really know anything about life. My parents might know a lot, but I think I'm just thinking. My parents want the best for me,
Hmm?
but they might not know what is best for me at the moment.
Yeah.
I think that I have that thought because maybe I really would like to just not do any work on Sundays and wake up late, but I always get up at 7 because of my parents. And that is a very great habit to do. But
Oh yeah.
I think some lacking off on Sundays, it's fine. Cause cause it is part of life.
Yeah. I think it comes down to as you get older, it's the little things that you start to notice. Like with your parents, and this is something I wish I started when I was younger. Ask them a story about their life when they're young. Ask them both. Like, what I don't know how long they've been together or whatever, but ask them about their younger years. Ask them about their favorite foods and their favorite what did they like to read and things like that. Just pick up these little stories and start writing them down, and start
Mhm.
understanding that where they grew up or how they came from or where they come from and what made them the people they are today is going to influence you in some way, shape, or form. And
Mhm.
so you'll appreciate these stories later on in life.
Yeah.
You'll look back on this and you'll say, 20 years down the road, it'll be like, I'm doing this because my mother did this, or I'm doing this because my father did this. And I now understand what they were talking about, even though I didn't quite understand it when I'm 17 years old. Now I understand why they were like this, or why they had these mannerisms, or why they did this process in life, or why they woke up at 7 a.m. and what was their work ethic like, and things like that. It's little things that add up that you're subconsciously are not even realizing, but you're still doing. So
I think sometimes kids my age should be just thrown at some situation, not like thrown at, but if they are going through bad grades in school, don't really just you got bad grades and now scolding, beating the hell out of the kid. Just let it be for a moment. If 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 that's not very big moment, maybe it's a final grade and you have to do something. But if it's just a normal test, just let it slide, because the kid is probably caring about that but cannot do that because of some else thing.
sure.
Yeah, and that is one problem. We got only 10 minutes left, and I don't know
Time
how
flies.
this conversation was so great.
Oh, here's one thing that I'll leave you with
Mm,
specifically. And I think it comes down to someone said this to me a while back, and this is kind of important about understanding yourself and understanding people around you. If you have people in your life and you're sad, you should only be sad for 24 hours. After that, you either need to do two things. You need to talk to someone, or you need to find a way to get past it yourself. And if you do find a way to talk with someone, make sure that you just lay it all out Once you converse, once you say what the issue is, once you say what your fear, your stress, your whatever is, after you've thought about it for 24 hours and it's still bugging you, talk it out and you'll
Yeah.
feel a lot better and you'll be able to move on. And I think that's what it comes down to. A lot of people don't understand that everyone thinks that, especially as a man, that we have to keep everything bottled up and that we can't communicate. And that's something what I learned really late in life, where if you keep things bottled up, it doesn't help. But if you talk with someone, just a conversation, just to say, hey, this is what was bugging me yesterday. Sorry I couldn't talk with you about it sooner. It was in my head. This is what I'm going through. And if they say some advice, great. Or if they just listen, that's fine. That's even better. And that'll get it out of here into the world and let the world deal with it. And you can move on to your next day. You can move on
Yeah.
to the next thing you want to do.
And men don't cry that often. I don't remember when I cried last. I think it's been 2 years.
You watch a sad enough film in your 20s and 30s and come back to me and let me know if you cried or not.
You watched
You,
you watched
I don't
some.
know. I don't know what it was, but there's been times where you tear up at the silliest things in your later years because it reminds you of something. So
You
yeah,
might be watching
don't.
a slice of life movie.
It could be, yeah. It could be something that was a Christmas thing or whatever that, the poor character finally got, the reward or gift he wanted, etc. And it's just like, why am I tearing up at this? This seems like the most silliest thing possible. You saw it coming 20 minutes ago. You saw this ending happening. You said this ending was going to happen, and you still are tearing up at it. Why? And it just means you're human.
Yeah. I hope you like this conversation because this was my
It's good.
first. Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Why did you pick me?
I don't know.
How
I
did
was
how did you find me? I think
matched.
that's a better
I
question.
think you are listed on matchmaker.fm, I think.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yes, from them I might have got
sure,
your Instagram, then I must have DM'd you.
sure.
I'm like I just cold DM people, cold
That's the way
emails,
you do
because
it.
yeah, that's the way I should start. I have, and actually I have one guy also after this conversation, and I and I and I absolutely forgot about him, and I was smart enough when I was making the decision. I put him like 30 minutes later of our conversation, so I can prepare. And I
Okay.
don't think I really have great questions to ask him to. I think I use all of my questions to it.
Use the same ones you asked me for him or her, whatever.
Mm.
Like it doesn't mean look, you're gonna find your style. Just figure out what you want to ask. I think questions about advice for a young kid like yourself, and I can
Mm-hmm.
say kid because I'm old.
Yeah.
Uh, advice for a young kid, things that you're passionate about, like talk about film, talk about whatever. Favorite, favorite books. That's actually it was a very good question. Things. What was the last book that you read or last film that you saw that made you think? That's a good question to have. Things that they have to actively think about and remember are good things. But keep the questions to things that that you're interested in. Like if they're American or whatever, ask about hey, I'm planning on going to university in the States. What are some advice to not get me beat up or whatever,
Mhm.
things like that. Just figure out questions you want to ask them, whether or not you don't have to say, oh, well, I don't know if this is a good question to ask or whatever. Just ask it. Worst I can say is, no, I don't feel like answering that.
Yeah. And I would encourage him to just answer it and I'll just peep it out for the
Well,
flow.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure. I mean, you're going to be editing this anyhow, so you're going to
Yeah.
find bits and pieces that work for you. Also, by the way, you need to make your own intro and outro,
Yeah.
introduction and outtroduction for your
Mm-hmm.
show, and do it as a visual, do it as a quick 15-second opening, 15-second closing, boom, done, away you go.
Yeah. I think that was a great advice. I'll work on it and thank you for this conversation. Yeah.
No,
Um,
I appreciate it. And I think, um, really what you need to do is just, uh, even if you need, you should ask for images as well. Like you should ask for images of headshots and things like that of the guest if you're going to be doing this long term, so you can make your own title images.
it would be great if you send me one.
Yeah, I'll send you a couple of things through. If you send me your email address through
Yeah.
the Instagram thing, I'll toss the images that I have that I use for this stuff here.
Okay, okay, okay. That would be really great. And I hope we have a conversation like this some other time too.
I definitely foresee that you definitely are starting on a good foot. You had great questions, and just get past the 10 plus episode mark there and release everything on a weekly schedule, just
Yeah.
once a week. Once a week is all you need, and don't burn yourself out. That way you'll survive a lot longer, and you'll have a backlog whenever you need to. Whenever you have, like, say, a lull where you don't get a guest. So there you go.
Yeah. And people might provide me or help me with a guest. I am hoping that one too.
Sure. Yeah, it's just a matter of asking. Like, use your social media and ask for, hey, I'm doing a show. I'm looking for you as a guest. Let's talk and dive in depth, like what you talked with me about. I'm looking for a more in depth conversation about yourself as whatever you put in there. That's a great opening line. That was a great way to approach. And you're going to get a lot of people like that, I think.
That's great. I think I should just we should just stop this conversation here because 2.5 minutes remaining. I think we cannot talk any great.
Fair enough there. And you got to get ready for your next interview. But I
Yeah,
appreciate
yeah.
it so much. And I hope you have a wonderful beginning career of whatever you do.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
I hope you like this one, and I'll meet you in the next one. Till then, bye bye.